Hey, Dan Pazzarelli here. Happy Friday. What a crazy week it was, huh? Obviously, the big talk of the week has been NVDA. I talked about that quite a bit. And there were a couple of really gigantic trades today in NVIDIA that I wanted to talk about. So let's take a look. Here in May, let's close this up here so we get a better view. Here in the regular May 720 calls, there were 31,000, almost 32,000 of these calls were purchased. Now this was earlier, it was at 10:54 and 1.5 seconds this morning. And it was an opening trade and it was purchased. People were buying these calls. And we know it was an opening trade because open interest was only 1,500 before that. So that is interesting. Those are some in-the-money calls, pretty distinctly in-the-money calls, in the money by about $68, working with a 73 delta on those. So that is a pretty big directional position. It is not clear that there was any other part of that trade. So maybe it was just someone buying calls. That would be a logical assumption. Now, there was another pretty big trade in here as well in the regular March that expires in 21 days. There were 25,000 of the March 15th 680 calls. Now, these are in the money by about $100. Now, someone sold these calls. Now, this one, it's not super clear if someone was opening or closing these because there was 28,000 open interest. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this was somebody who bought a bunch of these in the past and is now closing them and taking just a massive, massive profit. I would fry my calculator if I calculated that profits, and holy cow, I'd be pretty happy for that person, and sad that it wasn't me, because that would have been a massive, massive profit if somebody's closing that. We're going to have to look at open interest on Monday morning to see if it goes down by 25,000 contracts. Now, those were the two biggest trades. We did have a couple of interesting wing spread genius trades that were bearish. One expired today, and that person was clearly wrong. The other one was for March. Someone looking for it to go down to the 550 level, but that was just a pretty small bet. It was around 250 contracts, as I recall. Nothing like what we're looking at here. So that's what I got to share for you for NVIDIA. If this is a closing trade, that is not necessarily a bearish sign. The other one is clearly an opening trade, and unless there is another leg to that trade that's somewhat obscured, that would be a pretty big bullish bet on NVIDIA. Hope that helps. This is Dan Pazzarelli. Have a spectacular weekend. I'll see you Monday. Trade smart.